Now it's time for a review of what's making the headlines in the papers this morning.
Well, let's get straight into it. Of course, Dr. Constance is right here to take us into the papers. We don't have to do that virtual Lagos Abuja thing today. How are you doing,
It's one
Dr.
full
Constance?
happy family.
Welcome back to Abuja, Vimbai. Great to see you. How are you doing this morning?
I'm great, thank you. Always good to be in the nation's capital and get a pulse of how things
live
are happening. Yeah,
and in person.
All right.
And good morning to you, Yolanda and Gwenga.
Good morning.
Good
Dr.
morning.
How is it going?
Always amazing.
All right. Let's look at what's shaping the agenda for you today. If you're just joining us, welcome to the program. We'll be kicking off with This Day newspaper. This day leads with escalating US-Israel-Iran war, which has led to security forces locking down Abuja to forestall disturbances arising from protests. Olatunji Disu is sworn in as 23rd Inspector General of Police as he declares that state police has come to stay. CBN boosts foreign reserves with indigenous gold as holdings hit $3.5 billion. Leadership has gone with mixed reactions emanating from Tunji Disu's inauguration of a panel on state police as he is sworn in as the IGP. INEC chairman declares that intra-party squabbles is distracting the organization from its core mandate. And in regard to the crisis in the power sector, President Tinubu proposes grid asset company to fix problems. And insecurity is being beefed up as Abuja warns of possible pro-Iran protests. Vanguard highlights the spat between Spanish Prime Minister and President Donald Trump, who has cut ties with that country over refusal to allow America to use their base for the Iran war. An 89th birthday, my prison years were for my principles, according to former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Now, parents are moving to remove their wards from private to public schools, given economic hardship in the country today. In Daily Independent this morning, palm oil industry is said to be in crisis as smuggling surges. Federal government to demolish Qatar Bridge, rebuild it with over 5 billion naira. NERC tightening rules to curb electricity theft and meter bypass. CBN boosts results with $3.5 billion domestic good purchase. We've seen that earlier. And Tinubu suspends cashless toll policy at airports. New Telegraph again goes for the Middle East crisis, with the U.S. Embassy cancelling visa appointments in Abuja. Earlier, we saw those reports that there are planned protests in Abuja. This explains the cancellation as a precaution. INEC says OPEC primary is responsible for voter apathy as UK introduces visa bans in Afghanistan, Myanmar, Cameroon, and Sudan to stop abuses. 2027, APC summons ministers for performance review, and Oyegu says, we have to rescue Nigeria. It's a mission that everyone must undertake. Daily Sun reflects on the 2027 elections as INEC begins review of political parties' guidelines. Reps query customs, NPA, others over pre-shipment inspection. And there's uncertainty over parliamentary seats and independent candidacy in next year's election. Electricity workers are set for strike as 21-day ultimatum expires. On to Kogi State, where the state has imposed indefinite dusk to dawn curfew over insecurity. Now, let's see the international headlines. Beginning with the Daily Telegraph, today's papers are still dominated by that war in Iran. In Daily Telegraph, Ed Miliband led cabinet opposition to the U.S. military action in Iran and the use of UK-British bases. In an unrelated story, a Labour MP's husband has been arrested on suspicion of being a Chinese spy. That story also leads in Daily Star with the headline, "Who Loved MP?" That's Joanna Reid, that's the MP and her husband in that photo. Daily Mail also has that news item. The Times, Britain's allies are criticizing Sir Keir Starmer's handling of the Iran war, calling him weak. Daily Express follows quickly with the headline, weak, 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 in regard to Starmer again. Daily Mirror has Joanna Reid saying she never suspected her husband is a Chinese spy. Obviously, investigations will continue or will begin on that matter. In the I newspaper, we see that the US has sunk an Iranian warship off Sri Lanka. That war that has brought into the high seas features prominently in the Financial Times also. The Guardian goes further to name the number of casualties in that ship, which is put at 87. 87 people are dead now, it reports. Metro.co.uk writes that Trump's war has gone global. Now, let's see what these headlines mean for everyday citizens. In this day newspaper again, Abuja is on lockdown due to anxiety over protests on the Iran war. As a result of that, U.S. Embassy has cancelled visa appointments. We did see protests in other parts of Nigeria, for instance, in Lagos, Kano, and across the north, organized by the Islamic Movement of Nigeria in solidarity with Iran. But here today, the security forces are trying to preempt the breakdown of law and order over a widening confrontation. Wenger.
Well, it's rather unfortunate that we're seeing what will be described as sleeper cells of global sympathizers of Iran, because what we've seen is that brazen reality that in international arena, power politics are political realities and political realities are power politics. I think more than ever, the Trump administration might be bargaining for more than what it can chew, more than what it can handle, because it might just have underrated the ripple effect of what it has embarked on, because we've seen the underlying politics behind this. It has claimed that this strike is preemptive, that they are tackling Iran because they occupy the standard threat to global security. But when you look at some underlying issues, the increasing energy demand of the United States, one will know that there are more propelling interests. And you also look at Israel also, that have been able to convince US on this drive. Prime Minister Netanyahu, who might be facing the tenure expiration, might want to engage Israel in war to prevent any conducive atmosphere for an election in internal Israeli politics. So when you juxtapose many of these factors together, you will discover that now, with a widespread anti-US protest that is going on all over the world and in many parts of the world, you will discover that the Trump administration, that have said that the war is going to be for a short while, now will be facing more than it's bargained for.
Right.
Now we've seen the ripple effect, the escalating tension from the oil sector globally. So I think that many countries will just vicariously think that if this could happen to Iran, then who knows the next victim? So
Right.
I think that it's perils in that manner, and I think that they need to have a reconsideration. We've seen that the United Nations has been a toothless bulldog in all this charade, but
All
I
right.
think that the world leaders need to come for a quick intervention.
Let me just chip in more on sort of the Nigerian context, especially when you're looking at IMN, the Islamic Movement of Nigeria, that's headed by Al-Zakzaki, who they call a sheikh. And, he's been arrested several times. I believe the last time he was released was in 2021. In 2019, he had been arrested under the Buhari regime, which had also proscribed IMN as a terrorist organization. You go back, this is a movement that started in the 70s with sort of a Muslim activism in universities. It was student activism at the time. Then once the Iranian Revolution happened in 1979, that Iranian ideology now came into play with some of these organizations. I make this point to drive home the fact that Iran is known as an ideological theocracy. It's a theocratic republic, a country whose foundation is religion and religious faith and tenets of particular religion. So in Nigeria, the Muslim community was predominantly Sunni. At the time, you only had about 3% Shia. But once the Iranian Revolution happened and there was the indoctrination known as Khomeinism, after, of course, the supreme leader, the Ayatollah, then we saw more of this driving the activities of IMN. Notoriously, of course, we know that IMN came into spotlight in 2015. If you remember, of course, Benga is nodding because he remembers in 2015 when they blocked the motorcade of the Chief of Army Staff, Buratai, during their protest. And that led to days of clashes. They say up to 1,000 IMN members died because of those clashes. And since then, there's been a very violent culture. But it's generally known as a peaceful organization, which is an outer layer of the Iranian ideological core. They're not part of what is known as the axis of resistance out of Iran, which includes Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, for example. However, it all feeds into the same ideologies and the same theocracy. A very tricky warfare, because we're not just dealing with a personality. You can't just wipe out their head and think that the whole system is going to be restructured, especially because it has tentacles all around the world.
Definitely. And of course, that speaks to that demarcation or the controversy between the Shias and the Sunnis, which, the IMN is in solidarity with. Let's move away from that to go to other local stories. The new Inspector General of Police, still in this day newspaper, has stirred the honestness with his comments on state police. He was sworn in yesterday, and he says that state police has come to stay in Nigeria, and even went further to set up a 7-man committee on the establishment of local policing for states. Essentially, it has set the ball rolling, although we do need a constitutional amendment in order to have state police. Yolanda, your quick thoughts on that?
Well, I think no time is being wasted with this new IGP practically taking the bull by the horns. And so it's really good that we're seeing that he's tackling one of the biggest issues that we're having in Nigeria, which is in the area of insecurity. We have been talking countless number of times, having so many conversations about how important it is for the country to have state policing. Now, with this introduction, I wanted to explain a few things that we can expect to see, that we hope to see, as expectations looking forward in bringing in this new panel. These state policing, we're hoping that we can have a faster response, because this has been one of the issues. Every time there are kidnappings and abductions done, there is such a slowness to it. By the time that these areas that are affected are addressed, or when people finally start coming forward to try and help the affected communities, so much time has gone by. Ransom has already been asked for, and so hopefully with this we'll have a faster response instead of going through central command as usual. I think also better intelligence gathering. When you have these men who are locally sourced, they know the lay of the land better than anybody else. So now it ties in with a faster response as well. And I think the third part would be targeted crime fighting. This is not something we speak about a lot, but the truth is certain areas of the country have very peculiar problems that are associated with them. For example, the Northeast has this cattle rustling issues. And so who better than to tackle this than the people of those communities, the police of those communities? In the South, we have militancy issues. And then in the Southwest, we have cultism. So if these issues are tackled by the local police, it will give such a relief to central command in so many ways. And I think that this is something we're all looking forward to with so much positivity. And I can only but wish him the best and hope that with this type of assignment, he hasn't bitten off more than he can chew.
Okay. And there's something very important that he talked about, police welfare.
Yes.
He did mention that he hopes that the president will support him in order to ameliorate the conditions of police officers across the country, because even when you have state police, you still have to talk about the welfare of the police. And we'll be looking to see whether IGP Tunji Disu will be the Inspector General of Police that is able to restore the dignity of police officers in this country and stop all the roadblocks that are across the country that lead to the extortion of citizens. I gathered that recently a couple of things happened, especially in the East, where you have a lot of those roadblocks. There's a diaspora in Nigeria that was traveling between Port Harcourt and Imo State. And he said that every 100 meters had a police checkpoint. And, there's this pretense about checking your papers, even talking about papers that do not exist, in order to just collect money from passengers that are going their way. So you have buses have a particular amount they have to pay, the lorries and trucks have the amount, private vehicles have a specific amount everybody has to dollar to police officers. That is so degrading to the psychology of police officers, and it lowers their morale. So this is a big part of police failures and challenge that IGP Diso will have to deal with.
Just to chip in something very, I just want to say in support of in the advocacy for state policing that Nigeria is geopolitically designed for state policing. We talk about 15,000 porous borders. These are issues of border dynamics that only locally driven intelligence would understand, not someone from the headquarters in Abuja.
Yes, that's
so
right.
I think there should be no steering committee. We should plunge into the state police. It's a constitutional matter.
No, we need
Disclaimer.
there's a constitution amendment.
Besides that, can I just issue a disclaimer?
Okay.
That we are 9 months now away from an election.
That's right.
We have 30 APC governors. Please, let's not create a situation where we are now empowering 30 APC governors to have their own personal armies to deliver millions of votes. So state police is important and it should be done, but let's ensure that it's well structured.
At the risk threshold of people dying, we cannot afford to politicize.
I'm just saying, comma.
But I get your sentiment actually.
Let's see Vanguard newspaper. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo is 89.
Yes.
And he looks good at
Happy
it.
birthday to him.
He said that one of the incidents in his life that he recalls was the incarceration by General Sani Abacha, which he said is the stark reminder of the cost of principled leadership. Now, the President Bola Tinubu, in a statement, congratulated General Obasanjo and praised his contributions in Nigeria and Africa. The president spoke glowingly of his wisdom, often shared through his books. We know that General Obasanjo is famed for his books and his letters that he writes to every government that he has or that he thinks is not doing well. Great. Congratulations to him. But Benga, are you surprised of this congratulatory message from the president? Both men were mortal enemies during the time when Obasanjo was president.
Sorry, you're talking of which
President Tinubu
okay,
and Obasanjo.
Yeah.
Are you surprised at this congratulatory message from the president?
I'm not surprised that Tinubu congratulated Obasanjo because you know that Tinubu has this political maturity. Give it to him. For the sake of niceties, he would congratulate former President Obasanjo because even though they've been arch rivals during the days of creating local government, he would not forget how President Obasanjo withheld his funds to run the state and how he had to deploy some other alternative to fund Lagos State. So it's been a cat and mouse relationship between the two. But when you look at the message in former President Obasanjo's book, The Burden and Blessing of Leadership, I think it speaks volume about the need for accountable leadership and a leadership that is open to a sense of responsibility. He talked about how the experience in his prison had shaped his principle, and I think that there is a lot to learn from that because now a lot of people crave for power, but when it comes to the responsibility that leadership demands, you will discover that a lot of people are found wanted, and that also speaks to the African political landscape that we've seen a streak of weak institutions. So he is calling for stronger institutions in which will not reflect the sentiments and colors of personalized leadership. So I think that that should be a take-home for succeeding generations, especially as Nigeria heads for a major political transition. That should be what should be in the mind of an intended leader.
Right.
That service, that path to service must be very loudly emphasized.
And President Obasanjo, former, has earned his stripes. When he was president, Nigerian economy expanded, becoming, the second largest in Africa.
Indeed.
And I think the 31st in the
And
world.
the debt cancellation.
It had many defining policies and legacies. For instance, we had the debt relief, we had the bank consolidation, the regulation of the power sector, due process for public procurement was set up. You had the anti-corruption institutions also that were put in place. We had the excess crude account that was used to manage the volatility of the oil prices, and so many other things. And the country was growing at an average rate of 6 to 7% during his time. He also got, I think, to about over 10% at a point. So he has done a lot for Nigeria in terms of contributions and helped Nigeria to have an economy that left out from stagnation after the military rule in 1998. So President Obasanjo, very well, happy birthday to you.
And he's done a lot for Africa as well.
Yes, yes,
liberating,
yes.
A number of African countries
Yes.
from colonialism, removing apartheid, central pillar to supporting. And as well, of course, as being instrumental in the establishment of the African Union. So truly an African statesman.
Still very active today, traveling all over Africa.
And we won't forget that dance he had with Florence Itagiwa.
Let's leave that.
You saw that.
I saw it.
Let's leave that. New Telegraph for this morning. We have opaque primaries to blame for voter apathy, according to INEC, and bank and intra-party squabbles distracting INEC from its core mandate. So INEC is warning parties not to conduct primaries that are not transparent because it leads to the undermining of trust in the public. Vimba, your quick thought on that. INEC is correct on this.
INEC is correct. However, I'm concerned about the timing of these sentiments being made public. Because we know that if we're looking at the issue of primaries, the entire mechanism for how primaries are conducted has been turned upside down. We're going to direct primaries. With over 8,000 wards around Nigeria, INEC in the next 2 months, I believe they have a 2-month window, yes, are going to have to observe 8,000 primaries, because they are now direct primaries in various wards. Yes, or consensus. I mean, I'm not sure how many are going to go for the consensus route, given some of the contention we're already seeing within some of the opposition parties. The ruling party looks set and well organized to be able to conduct very organized and smooth primaries. But internal party democracy has become a cause for concern. I'm just highlighting the fact that it's going to be an even bigger burden because, again, I repeat, we are just about 9 months away to the election and everything is compressed. There are new guidelines, new parameters, and I don't think any of us are really ready or really have really understood the magnitude of what we're getting into. However, INEC, as the regulatory authority that oversees not just the election, but also has to observe all parts of the electoral process, pre-election and post, have to be involved in in observing internal party processes. So I don't think we can call that a hindrance. I think it's a time for introspection, for us to understand where we're getting it wrong. And it's now time for the regulatory authority to give us some insights, propose some suggestions as to how we can regulate and sanitize the environment. Things will get easier after this election because once you have your digital membership register, for example, which again, timing is the issue, but it's a positive development because you no longer have people hopping from party to party, after you fail from one primary, you now go to the next party and so forth. So it will make INEC's work easier, but they should not deter and get tired or be discouraged from continuously making proposals that can improve the regulatory environment
I think the fears of INEC is driven by that sentiment of the volume of petitions elections that comes after the primaries. So
Yes.
that's why they are saying clean up your internal process so that they would have a free space. Because by the time they are overburdened with this kind of petitions, it affects our internal capacity as
So
well.
they can focus on what they are meant to do. Let's take one international story. The Guardian UK, 87 dead in that Iranian ship that was sunk by the US in the Indian Ocean. This war has been widening. This is the 6th day of the war. But I don't know whether, I think this is less about nuclear weapons and more about the Israeli hegemony in the Middle East, Yolanda.
Well, just as you rightly said, now we're seeing this conflict expand into Asian territory, something that was not there yesterday. I made light of it when I mentioned that, we're seeing this, instead of seeing daily updates, we're actually seeing hourly updates at this point because too many things are happening all at the same time. And as you rightfully said, 140 people are currently missing after a US submarine sunk an Iranian Navy ship with a torpedo. Now, it's interesting to know that this is the first time that America has sunk an enemy ship using a torpedo since World War II. Now, in addition to that, Pete Hegseth said that America is winning, quote, decisively, devastatingly, and without mercy. We've heard Donald Trump speak in a similar way about other conflicts around the world as well. So, it's quite sad to see, as you can see the visuals on your screen, of all these areas being bombed and attacked, and people literally scrambling with whatever they can carry. Meanwhile, it also seems that this conflict has brought about a few other cracks that have been building up in the system. Donald Trump said that Keir Starmer has not been helpful and that the relationship is not what it was. And this is such a disappointment because these two have been military allies, the US and the UK, for the greater part of history. So now with the breakdown of this relationship, how will that now affect the bigger picture of how this conflict is expected to end?
All right, those were your headlines for today.